Thanks for staying with us here on TVC. Breakfast is not time for us to look at what the papers are reporting. First, let's have a peek through the papers. The Nation newspaper with the banner headline, Edo economy remains stable despite airstrikes in Sokoto. Every effort to safeguard Nigerians is pro-growth, pro-investment. And the Platform Times, 2027 ticket not for sale. Rivers funds under siege. Wike warns Fubara and accuses politicians of plotting to grab 600 billion naira post-emergency funds. The Punch newspaper, federal government writes off $1.42 billion, 5.57 trillion naira NNPC debt. Presidential nod wipes off NNPC's legacy debts to Federation. NUPRC battles 5.65 trillion naira revenue gap. The next is the Guardian newspaper. Oversight concerns as assemblies hastily pass 34.63 trillion naira budget. And then next is the Hope newspaper. PDP crisis, Fayose, Makinde and fresh face-off. In fresh face-off, ex-Ekiti governor alleges Oyo government of diverting federal government 50 billion naira intervention fund. Makinde says allegations baseless, lack credibility. Next is the Blueprint newspaper. Bodija explosion. APC, Makinde, Fayose, Bika over 50 billion naira federal government's relief fund. And Nigerian News Direct also reports the same thing. We received 30 billion naira, not 50 billion naira from federal government. Makinde replies, Fayose. And this Nigeria, 50 billion naira war. Fayose, Makinde's fight deepens. Your governor says he got 30 billion naira from federal government as support for victims of kerosene explosion. Next is the Daily Times. 34 judge applicants fail Federal High Court integrity test, bow to public petitions. And Leadership newspaper, health insurance premiums rise as hospitals jack up service fees. And the Nature News newspaper, this is talking about technology here. Qatar deploys drones to restore vegetation, combat desertification. And last but not least, after Tunisia win, Nwabali confirms injury setback. It's quite tough for me. Amazing. But then we say thank you all together. But then I'll be doing this with my colleagues, Olamide, Ria, and Edida, in-house analyst, Biodun Show Me.
Exactly.
Let me start off with you, Olamide, by looking at what the Nation newspaper reports. I think it's standing alone this morning. Edo economy remains stable. Despite airstrikes in Sokoto, there have been concerns regarding, bringing in foreign investors and people having their confidence to invest in Nigeria's economy when they're not sure, especially when America is involved in terrorism fights. Sometimes casualty, what do we call it? When they mistakenly bomb, collateral damage. Whenever it happens, they feel, no, this might affect our businesses in Nigeria, but the minister is saying no cause for alarm. Absolutely. I believe that the minister is focusing on the matters at hand, and those are money matters, but it's also a quiet reassurance that despite everything that is going on, the instability and the insecurity, there is still economic stability. He's drawing a parallel here between security operations and conflict in our country towards economic stability, and I think that's very, very important. If there's going to be a breakdown in several states, as we've been seeing, bloodshed, airstrikes, then at the very least, we should be recouping what we are losing in terms of the insecurity. It's a quiet reassurance to our investors that everything is still okay on ground and that there's still money to be made and revenue to be sourced. Well, he's also saying that we need to fight terrorism.
But for me, I feel like it's just more than reassurance, and I'm not trying to be a pessimistic person on the show this morning, but there's no way that insecurity will be plunging your country and the economy will grow. It's not possible. In recent times, I've spoken to people that would tell me that, Ria, I'm scared to come and invest in Nigeria. So for me, I feel like he needs to do more than a reassurance, because when we started this year, we were speaking about, how the economy is picking up, we were loving it, but then insecurity now took over that. So I feel like the most important thing on the forefront right now is for us to fight this insecurity, knowing that if this continues to happen, our economy will suffer. We've seen what happened with America. We still we saw the strike in Sokoto and all of that. You know, it's not good for the image of Nigeria if we want to be realistic. It's not a nice one to see that we could not fight our battles ourselves. People had to come and help us fight our battles, you know. So I feel like it's just more than a reassurance we want from him. We need to stop the insecurity for our economy to grow. I feel like once we understand that, then we really know what we're fighting.
We saw the strike that happened in Jabo and you know, in Sokoto State, and people are asking questions as to why do you have to start in Sokoto? Why not go?
They
to
said
the
they want to start small.
why don't you go
warning.
to the northeast? And sometimes something always tells me, like, you know, America's involvement in our terrorism fight is like the arsonist that, you know, that actually the arsonist that makes itself like the firefighter at the end of the day. If you know what I mean.
You know, when it comes to America, it's something that you'll always continue to wonder, what are they up to, what are they not up to? As explained by Professor Jeffrey Sachs, a prominent American economist, who said to be America's enemy is dangerous, and to be America's friend, it's fatal.
It's fatal.
Very apt.
So you would always, you know, keep wondering what is going on, what are they up to, and what are they not up to, particularly when America is saying America first. So now this time around, they're saying Nigeria first when it comes to terrorism. So that's something else. But the most important thing we need to understand in all this is when it comes to security matters, a lot of issues do not come out. There were casualties, and it's beginning to emerge now that there were casualties. There is a way they manage
casualties. On, you know, are you referring to collateral damage or
not collateral damage?
Decisively with the terrorists?
Not collateral damage on the part of the terrorists. I mean,
because people ask a question: how many people do you kill?
And they said they didn't see dead bodies as well. People said they didn't see any dead bodies.
Well, some things are beginning to emerge suddenly. I think there is a way they manage security situation. This is what is really going on currently. But the fact of the matter is, no matter what it is, there is a signal. Some people will look at it and say, hang on a minute, there is a particular focus on the issues of those who are sponsoring terrorism to say, look, we know where you guys are and we know what to do, and that would send a panic down. Then there's also the issue of those who were alleged to be coming from Mali, who are being flushed out from Mali, they've gotten to Nigeria, wanting to come into Nigeria.
That's right.
So there's the need also to send a message that, look, you're not going to find Nigeria as a safe place. So it's a bit complex. I know some people have raised the issue of why not start from Borno or Benue or somewhere, but a lot of other issues are at play, which probably may not be known by to the public.
That's right. Let's. I'll come back to the platform time, but let's go to the Punch newspaper. Similar thing we see in the Guardian newspaper. We have federal government writing off $1.42 billion and 5.57 trillion naira NNPC debt. A debt is a debt, but when the one who you're owing is saying that, I've forgiven your debt, forgive us our daily bread. I mean, sorry, I said forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us.
Absolutely, and very interesting to see that money. To me, I'm not seeing a figure. I'm seeing roads that were not built. I'm seeing hospitals that were not equipped. I'm seeing schools that were not properly funded, and that worries me. The question is, if the federal government is writing off this debt, essentially, is it actually going to equip the system to perform better moving forward, or is it just going to move the burden silently onto taxpayers of tomorrow? That's my question.
And if you look at the Guardian newspaper, oversight concerns as assemblies hastily passed 34.63 trillion naira budget. You know, we saw now that we are seeing that budgets of not just the federal government, of the state assembly, of the local government, all of them, they are now overlapping 2024, 2025, and now 2026. And then we see lawmakers who are rushing, you know, to pass this budget without doing due diligence, you know, scrutinizing this budget for accountability.
Let me just quickly touch on the NNPC and the debt. For me, when I saw the news, the question I asked myself is that I hope this is
talking about the Punch.
Yes, I hope this is the last time this happens, because at the end of the day, if we keep doing this, we now make people feel very, very comfortable. When we talk about the NNPC, for the beginning of this year, it's been one corruption or the other. People have even written books about things that happened while they were there. So I feel like, in as much as I say this will help to relieve them, take a lot of pressure from them and all of that, but it should be the last time, because if if you are owing, you should be able to pay the money. I feel like our refineries need to start working. 2026, these are things that we need to look at.
Absolutely.
And then talking about the budget, Ibrahim, whenever you mention budget, all I'm just hoping for that in the year 2026, we get to see good roads. We get to see a lot of allocation for insecurity, because this year we've really spoken about insecurity. It's been a big problem. It has touched everybody's homes, it has touched everybody's heart. So I'm hoping that we get a big chunk for that. We also want to see accountability as well. It's not about hearing all these beautiful figures, all these loud figures. Most of the time, these figures, they don't even get to where they're supposed to go to. So when we speak about budget in general, let's make sure that they touch the places that they're supposed to touch this coming year.
Mr. Abiodun, show me, because of our time, let's talk politics. If you look at the platform Times, it's saying 2027 ticket not for sale, Rivers funds under siege, Wike warns Fubara. And then now moving on to the Hope newspaper, we saw the Makinde and Fayose, bickering over, no, you gave me 50 billion naira. It's 30,000 naira. So it's giving me so you see the same thing on the Blueprint newspaper, the same thing as Nigerian News Direct, This Nigeria, and the like. So it's giving me the vibe of, you'll be thief, I know be thief, you'll be robber.
I know be robber.
After him, I'll definitely touch on this, but yes.
What seems very clear is I like what is going on, really.
Right. You do?
Oh, yes. Because it's important, there should be accountability and transparency. If you look at the case of Fayose State, for instance, I had no clue, and I doubt whether many people knew that whether it is 50 billion or 30 billion,
money was given
to Fayose State government. Nobody knew. I mean, why should that be kept under wrap? Has it been audited? And what was the outcome, of the auditing, particularly when it was not disclosed? And knowing that only 4.5 billion, as admitted by the government, was actually paid out, to the victims. So what happens to the rest? Whether it's 50 billion or 30 billion. The fact of the matter is more explanations need to be given. And you're going to see more of these because of intense competition for political office.
Yeah, and I wanted to just share your thoughts on the 2027 ticket not for sale commentary made by Wike, warning those who are going to Fubara.
It's actually saying to Fubara that don't take it for granted that because you are in APC, in a party with the president, you will certainly get the ticket. Look, what seems very clear is that they are now together. They are working hand in hand together. Even though Wike is in PDP, Fubara is in APC, but along the line somehow, there's a measure of cooperation between the APC and PDP. Nobody can deny that. And what I see going on is that probably Fubara will be allowed to do a second term, but Wike is saying, look, don't take it for granted. We still have to do some further negotiations. And don't forget Fubara is it's from the river anywhere, and Wike is from the upland. So there will still have to be some discussions, political discussions and agreement, and no doubt about that in my mind.
For me, I'll say I wish Fubara all the best, because if I go into Fubara's issue this morning on this table, we'll go very long. But contrary to you saying that you love, what is happening, for me, I think it's a very big show of shame. Because if we really look about what happened in Bojija on January 16, 2024, it's sad. Some lives were lost, properties were gone. So to find out that money was given and it wasn't allegedly used for what it should be used for, now makes us question, the heart of our politicians. Now makes us question, do they really care about their citizens? I feel like what is happening is a shame for people to see that now you are saying, oh, I gave you 30, is it 30 billion or 30 billion? I gave you 30 billion. Oh,
whether it's 30 billion or 50 billion.
At the end of the day, Ibrahim, I'm wondering, if something like this really happened, then it's very shameful, because it shows that citizens will be suffering and you'll be diverting the money. So for this particular case, and I'm using allegedly because we've not really seen what has happened, but I pray that it doesn't just end in sentiments. This is not a case to end in sentiments. We need to push through to see what really happened to that money. Even if it's 1 million, even if it's 2 million, money that is supposed to be used for something, you cannot divert it to another thing.
And I truly believe that this political spat between, Makinde and Fayose, it raises a bigger question. It forces us to ask the question, how are federal intervention funds accessed, withheld, and dispersed? These are emergency relief funds that we are talking about here. It's not an allocation for anything else. It's for emergencies, for people who are in dire need of this money. And that is what we need to put into context.
That's I think that people lost their lives and property.
Do you know why I raised the issue of audits? Because they will have done the audit for that year. Was it disclosed at all? That's quite very important. If it was not disclosed to the auditor, the source of the money not disclosed, and it was not covered by the audited report, then what happened to it?
Without
So
accountability.
that's a different thing. But because we don't know how the rest of the money was spent, what we know is that the government admitted to giving 4.5 billion, you know, to the victims.
What did the record say?
Work has been given to the CSOs.
We don't know. That's why.
Work has been given to the
Accountability,
civil-
2026. I'm hoping that we really look at accountability
Yeah.
and where these funds go.
It's
That's
important.
very important.
Yeah, more work for the CSO, that's the civil society organization, to look into
And
this
more work for us
ask
as well, to
questions.
investigate, to find out what really happened.
Absolutely, absolutely. Especially when you didn't get your own cut.
Of course not. I do not want any cuts, God forbid. No,
That's
of
my
course
real.
not.
All right, then let's move on to the leadership newspaper saying health insurance premiums rise as hospitals jack up service fees. Hospitals are now increasing their fees. You know, they say they want to recoup, you know, the losses they made after the removal of fuel subsidy and the rising cost of medical, equipment and medications and all of that. That's the reason, you know, premium. I mean, we are not getting premium rise in medical services.
Healthcare is a universal right, and I believe that every human being has the right to healthcare equity, has the right to equal access. And so already we have a healthcare system that is bleeding and suffering. People are already languishing in hospitals because they cannot afford to even discharge themselves. Some people cannot afford even basic Panadol. You'll be shocked what's going on in rural areas. And now you're now even making healthcare even more harder for them to access. I have to ask, what is the value that we place on human lives in Nigeria?
And then we're talking about insurance as well. The more healthcare goes up, of course, the insurance will go up. But I tell you something, you know, Mr. Biodun, oftentimes a lot of people self-medicate not because they want to, because they are afraid to see a doctor. I was reading about it. To see a doctor now, do you know how much it is for you to just go to see a doctor? It's a whole lot of money. So you think about it, let me just buy malaria medicine and drink. So I feel like this coming year, there's so many things we need to look at, especially our healthcare, because health is actually really important. If we want to go into this topic, there's a whole lot, because it's one way for the hospitals increasing their bills, and it's another way for the patients, because at the end of the day, a hospital is supposed to make money. But I think that we need to treat our doctors better. We need to pay them better as well.
There is an arrangement between employees and their employers. You know, talk about private organization. If you're now looking at public institutions, also an agreement between the employees and their employer, which is the federal government and the government at different levels. How much is the health insurance scheme? You know, how much has it, you know, achieved, you know, so far? The HMOs of this world and in all of this.
Well, it's still growing. Many companies have not enrolled their staff for those schemes, obviously because of cost, or contractual issues one way or the other. The fact of the matter is we still have a long way to go. No matter what you do, you're going to have to pay something for treatment in this country.
Absolutely.
I mean, the idea of 100% free treatment is out of it. Even in UK, it's turning out to be something else.
Because they are talking about child poverty in UK.
Absolutely, and you have to buy medication. One area which I think we've not been focusing on is traditional medicine. To what extent are we developing that aspect? Because they're offering very valuable services to people, not only in the rural areas, even in urban centers. And yes, I know we've made some progress in that aspect in relation to childbirth. You know, some of them have been retrained or licensed one way or the other.
Absolutely.
But we need to do a little bit more because they are providing very valuable health services in the rural areas to our people.
And to think that King Charles, you know, decide to, you know, go alternative medicine, you know, for his cancer.
And because they haven't been whitewashed.
And he's still alive.
We'll drink
He's
some
still
alcohol
alive,
at this point.
absolutely. All right, then the last paper here we have is the Sport and Life. After Tunisia win, Nwabali confirms injury setback. It's quite tough for me. We understand, but we're happy that we did.
It's tough. What is tough for him? What is tough for him?
Well, it's not easy, you know, to defeat Tunisia in the first place. So we're happy that this 3-2 was a very good one.
I predicted that. Have you forgotten?
No.
I did predict it.
No, not 3.
I think I said 4.
But you said
But they always give me Jara, but I said we're going to win.
I cannot give you Jara.
The moment
Go, boys.
Tunisia scored the second goal, I stopped watching the ball.
You're like, don't score my night.
Before you got fall down.
I'm not into football, but it was wonderful seeing that night.
Absolutely.
Go Super Eagles.
Yeah. Thank you guys for your keenness of insight on this. That's about it for the newspapers up for review today.